Today's faction focus is on the World Eaters. And how do I feel about it? And you might be thinking, why does this preview incite such a harsh reaction? Well, let's take a look. The answer is the new World Eaters army rule. We have Blessings of Khorne. Here's how it works. At the start of your command phase, roll 8d6. And then based on those results, you can activate 2 perks from the list below. Does this sound familiar? It should, because it's effectively 9th edition's Warpstorm dice. I detest this style of army rule. Anytime an army rule requires you to roll once at the beginning of the round or command phase to determine your options is not a good army rule. And I'll concede that this search for doubles on 8 dice is much better than rolling for 4 ups. But because you're still rolling, it's inevitable that you'll encounter rolled results which are insufficient for what you need at a given time. What makes this worse for wear is the World Eaters had, in my opinion, one of the best army rules in 9th edition. The Blood Tithe system was heaps better than this. Sure, you still had a table of different options you could turn on using accumulated points, but those points weren't rolled for. They were a quantified resource, and I'm sure some of the perks needed to have been adjusted. But man, I can't help but read this as a categorically worse system. Like, this kind of mechanic of rolling probabilities and finding pairs feels more suitable for Tzeentch demons. And mind you, if that were the case, I would expect multiple ways to manipulate those outcomes, because Tzeentch. At the bottom of the article, we have Rich from the design studio explaining, "The World Eaters are brutality made manifest, a blunt object of intense trauma that rides an overwhelming wave of hyper-violence and bloodshed. When designing the rules for the World Eaters, it was clear that they shouldn't have to rely on tricks, shenanigans, or any kind of overly complex interaction to—" Rich, please. What the fuck do you think you've presented here? How is rolling 8 dice, looking for the right outcome of doubles, to activate abilities which only last for the round, not a trick or shenanigan style of ability? You literally facilitate an environment where the World Eaters player can suddenly possess abilities they would otherwise not have. You know what that is, right?
You mean shenanigans?
Especially compared to 9th edition's Blood Tithe, which just rewarded you for spilling blood, yours or your enemies, earning you points you spent on perks which persisted. So then, why replace Blood Tithe? As I've noted in each of the previous faction focuses, Guard's Orders, Sister's Miracle Dice, and Votan's Judgment tokens were among the stronger army mechanics in 9th, along with the Blood Tithe. But Blood Tithe got axed, where the others were adjusted for 10th edition.
But why? Why would you do that? Why would you do any of that?
But I suppose we should carry on with the preview. Carrying on, let's take a look at the World Eaters detachment rules.
Fuck!
We're not shown their detachment rule, so we're missing a critical component of how this faction will operate. Great faction focus so far. Moving on to unit previews, at least here we have the emblematic battle line unit, Khorne Berserkers. Suitably, they possess the same stat line and offer nearly the same performance as Legionaries, but the key differences are Berserker Chainblades hit with more strength than Chain Swords. Ability-wise, I suppose we should thank the Emperor, because I'm in no mood to praise Khorne. Berserkers kept their Blood Surge ability from 9th edition. It's thematic and unique. However, at the bottom of the article, Warhammer Community notes that you can't Blood Surge when you disembark from a destroyed transport, because that results in automatic battle shock for that turn, which is an interesting reveal. And I'll note here that the icon of Khorne allows you to reroll one of the dice for your Blessings of Khorne ability if the bearer's unit is in range of an objective marker. And based on my reading of it, you would be able to use this with multiple units to reroll multiple dice, which is something. Hopefully that helps you get the results you need. And our big cheese in the spotlight is Angron. Looking at how he stacks up to Guilliman, his stat line boosts more movement, toughness, wounds, and objective control. His melee output is for the most part better with regards to numbers. 1 more attack on the strike with more strength and much more damage potential, and 4 more attacks on the sweep with 1 worse AP, though note, neither profile possesses any abilities. Reborn in Blood allows Angron to return if you use triple sixes from your Blessings of Khorne roll. Again, I hope you roll it when you need it. And like the other big boss epic heroes, Angron has a choose one of 3 aura abilities, though uniquely it's activated in the charge phase. Glorious Bloodletting adds 1 to World Eaters units' charge rolls. Infectious Rage adds 1 to the attacks characteristic of World Eaters units which are below their starting strength. and Righteous Slaughter allows units to reroll their hit rolls. And while this does affect ranged attacks, having it activate in the charge phase makes it a less likely pick for Death Star shooting purposes, which is good. Overall, Angron is pretty much in line where I expected he would be. He's a pound for pound monster, but he's a tad slower, which I think is fair given he debuted into a very hostile 9th edition rules environment. I mean, 14 inches with fly isn't bad at all, though he's lost his ability to prevent enemy units from falling back, which will probably be the one which is most sorely missed. Moving on to weapon profiles, we got the Demon Gore Cannon from the Lord of Skulls on display. It's gone up 4 points in strength, and has a greater damage maximum going from 6 to 8, and a slightly worse damage minimum going from 4 to 3. And in the stratagem spotlight, we have the Berserker Warband Detachment Stratagem, Blood Offering. Too bad we don't know what that detachment does. It's a nifty strat. For 1 command point, you can make an objective you are controlling with a unit which was just destroyed remain under your control, essentially giving that unit sticky objective control retroactively. Well, that's it for this faction-focused preview. And honestly, I think it's the worst one we've gotten thus far. I'd rate it a 3 out of 10. As far as I can tell, Blessings of Khorne is a worse alternative to Blood Tithe, and we're lacking any clue as to what the World Eater's detachment does. I've been tracking things a little bit, and I'm noticing a trend. Is GW intentionally not showing the detachment rules for Chaos Space Marines? Guess we gotta wait and see. But I want to hear from you, and especially from the World Eater's player base. Do you like Blessings of Khorne more than Blood Tithe?